Profanity is a unique phenomenon. It's not just words, but a tool for real system destruction. Official language is system's main tool. It forms the boundaries of what's permitted, sets behavioral rules, and makes a person think within parameters convenient for control. But profanity is a hole in this construct, a way to break through the system and express pure, unprocessed emotion. That's why the system so fiercely fights against it. Here's what the system does not want you to know. Profanity literally bypasses your linguistic programming. Regular speech gets processed in Broca's and Wernicke's areas, the zones responsible for constructing proper, civilized, system-approved sentences. But profanity fires up the limbic system, the ancient emotional brain. This is why people with aphasia who can't speak normally can still swear perfectly. The brain treats profanity as primal truth, not social performance. When you say fuck, you're not using language. You're using pure neurological discharge. It's the same system that makes you scream when you're hurt or yell when you're startled. Raw, unfiltered, and real. The system can't colonize this part of your brain, and that terrifies it. And before someone says that swearing turns us into animals, the data says the opposite. Studies from Keele University and MIT found something the moral police hate. People with higher IQs swear more. Might be because they recognize artificial boundaries and refuse to obey them. And if we ask ourselves who follows arbitrary rules without question, people trained for compliance, people who confuse obedience with virtue. The research shows that those with larger vocabularies and higher verbal intelligence use profanity more creatively and frequently. Why? Because they understand language is a tool, not a master. They're not afraid of words. Self-censorship isn't refinement. It's structural stupidity. Stupidity isn't a lack of intelligence. It comes from living through filters that block everything not sanctioned by the system. That's why profanity is a threat. It slips through those filters untouched. Refusing to swear doesn't make you civilized. It makes you compliant. Profanity is the refusal to let language be colonized. The dumbest thing you can do is self-censor because someone told you certain words are bad. Smart people know there are no bad words, only bad systems that fear honest expression. Profanity is an exit beyond the boundaries of artificial language. Ordinary language is a tool for structuring consciousness. It gives beautiful formulations, veiled explanations, neatly combed, correct phrases. Now compare fucking shit how this fucked me over versus I find this extremely irritating. The first is living honest feeling without censorship. Profanity eliminates tunnel vision and gives the opportunity to speak directly. That's why the system prohibits it. Respectable people don't swear. Ever wonder who decided what's respectable? Not the creators. Pushkin wrote obscene verses. Einstein dismissed failed ideas as scheisse. Hemingway, Bukowski, Carlin, every breakthrough voice used raw language. Not that profanity magically produces genius, but filtering words means filtering thought. Creation requires the freedom to call bullshit what it is, to tear down your own work and start again. Innovation is messy and unsanitized, and language has to carry that charge. The moment you start policing words, you start policing ideas, and policed ideas never break boundaries. Watch someone try to lie while swearing. It's not that it's impossible, but profanity makes it harder to keep the mask on. Polite language is the perfect camouflage. I regret to inform you. It's not personal. I wish you the best. Every lie glides smoothly in corporate English, but raw profanity leaks too much emotion. Say, I fucking love your presentation when you don't, and the fakeness shows through. The word drags reality in, and reality resists the script. This is why corporate speech is allergic to profanity. The moment someone says, "This is fucking stupid," in a meeting, the entire performance cracks. Masks slip. The room stops sounding like a PowerPoint deck and starts sounding human. What often hides behind smooth formulations and polite ambiguity? Manipulation. The system worships proper expressions because they blur truth and conceal intent. The funniest part isn't even the words themselves. It's the clowns who feel entitled to police them. These are people who get triggered when you say fuck because you reminded them that they don't control reality. They want the world ironed, perfumed, and polite. A showroom with no dirt, no anger, and no truth. But here's some psychology. People who police profanity are projecting their own repression. They've spent years crushing their authentic responses, swallowing their anger, performing niceness until they forgot what genuine emotion feels like. When you swear freely, you remind them of everything they've suppressed. Your freedom is their mirror, and they hate what they see. So, what do? They become unpaid interns of the system, language cops on patrol. Don't say this, it's vulgar. Translation: your freedom makes me insecure. They are not guardians of culture. They are guardians of their own fragile order. And as I've already pointed out, the ones who actually built culture swore like dock workers. Every time these morality cops correct you, they're cashing in rewards. First, the hierarchy bonus. Telling you what you can or can't say automatically puts them above you, because an equal has no right to dictate language. Second, the virtue bonus. They get to feel good and righteous as if enforcing higher morals. Third, the social bonus. In front of others, they pose as guardians of decency, scoring cheap status points by pointing at someone else's mistake. And finally, the psychological bonus. The more they've mutilated their own speech, the more satisfaction they get from punishing yours. Notice the hypocrisy. They preach about respect, but what they demand is obedience. Respect for them means shutting up, toning down, sanding off the sharp edges so their illusion of decency doesn't crack. They don't want honesty. They want control dressed as morality. But here's what they really fear. Profanity reveals that their entire moral framework is arbitrary. If words are just sounds, if fuck has no inherent evil, then what else have they been wrong about? What other rules are just control mechanisms? Once you question why certain words are bad, you might question why certain people are authority. The whole house of cards starts shaking. And then there's the classic objection. But it just sounds awful. My ears can't stand it. No, your ears are fine. What hurts isn't the sound, it's the conditioning. You've been trained to flinch at certain syllables, the same way a dog flinches at an electric shock. There's nothing inherently ugly about the phonetics of fuck or shit. They're just sharp sounds. Plenty of other words hit the ear just as hard. Crash, break, frog, grit, scratch. You don't cringe at those because nobody stamped them as taboo. "It hurts my ears" really means the system successfully programmed me to feel pain at forbidden language. You know what hurts my ears? Words like mandatory, prohibited, forbidden, restricted, sinful, discipline, compliance, obedience, regulations, policy, fiscal adjustments, corporate governance, traditional values, women's purpose. That's the real vulgarity. Policing profanity isn't about manners, it's about enforcement. Upbringing sounds noble, but in practice it means replacing your raw autonomy with a domesticated persona, a well trained avatar who won't disrupt the order. Profanity is intolerable because it refuses that swap. It says, "I'm still here, unfiltered, unshaped." And that's what makes the system furious. Not your rudeness, but your autonomy breaking through the leash. Profanity is actually good for you. It offers instant tension release. Remember what a person does when they suddenly fall, hit themselves, drop something important. Fuck! And the stress is gone. It's a natural release mechanism. Studies show swearing increases pain tolerance by up to 50%. It's not placebo, it's neurochemistry. Profanity triggers endorphin release, activates the fight or flight response in a controlled way, gives you a hit of adrenaline without actual danger. Instead, the system suggests we contain emotions, control speech, suppress anger inside. Result? People break down, develop psychosomatics, neurosis, depression. The same society that bans emotional release through profanity sells you antidepressants and therapy. Coincidence? I don't think so. Profanity is an ancient magical practice. In every culture, curses were used as spells for protection, removing negativity, releasing energy. The word profane literally means outside the temple, outside the controlled sacred space, in the wild territory of real life. Nordic berserkers swore to enter battle trance. Shamans cursed to break hexes. Workers chant "fuck this shit" as a collective rhythm of resistance. There is power in these words that goes beyond semantics. It's sonic, visceral, and transformative. Why did words like fuck or shit become unacceptable in English? In medieval England, they were everyday language. The split came later when elites and the church branded the Anglo-Saxon words as vulgar and replaced them with French and Latin terms for the educated. That's why you say defecate in medicine, but shit in the street. The taboo is completely artificial. But if you think avoiding profanity makes you elite, check history. Real elites swore constantly, from Shakespeare's plays to Churchill's speeches. Sanitized speech isn't a sign of class. It's a sign you've accepted the role of the obedient. Power never needed to watch its language. The slaves did. And speaking of slaves, now it's kinda obvious why in patriarchal societies women are banned from swearing. Not out of decency, of course. Profanity isn't just words, but a tool for destroying systemic bullshit. It's forbidden not because it's bad, but because it's too powerful. Every time you swear authentically, you're declaring independence from the linguistic control. You're saying, "I refuse to perform. I refuse to pretend. I refuse to package my reality in acceptable terms." The system absolutely hates profanity because profanity is the language of uncontrolled consciousness. It doesn't belong to the official system, isn't built into its propaganda constructs. It's raw, wild, living word that tears all templates. It's like a hole in the matrix through which you can fall back into reality. So if you like to swear, it's not just an aesthetic preference, but an instinctive rebellion against a parasitic code. Every fuck is a small revolution. Every honest curse is a crack in their facade. And if enough people start speaking truth instead of performing propriety, their whole fucking system of control collapses. So when someone tells you not to swear, they're trying to install control software in your brain. Tell them to fuck off.